Yes.
Karma is my boyfriend.
Here's what's coming up on today's episode of the Texas Wedding Show.
And like legitimately caught the carpet on fire. Try not to bleed out on like this bride's beautiful aisle runner. And I see the bride, the groom, my boss, and like 3 cops are standing in the lobby.
I don't know. I don't think I've heard a better wedding disaster story.
Yeah. Here we are 7.5 years in. And we're at the point where we've donated almost $70,000 to mission work, which is crazy.
That's incredible.
That's the reason why we do what we do. Ooh, okay. What bad habit have you kicked? That's a hard one.
She still has all of her bad habits.
Karma is their boyfriend.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Texas Wedding Show podcast. I'm your host, Brittany with Lady Bird Studios. We are a DFW and Austin-based wedding photo and video studio. Jordan is also here in the studio with us today.
What?
And we're here with Ashlee Nicholson with Treasured Heart Events. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Can you tell us just a little bit about your business and how you got into the industry, your story?
Yes. So never something I thought I'd be doing. Never thought I'd be in the wedding industry. Never grew up being that person. I went to TCU. So when I was a freshman there, my sister was a senior. So we had a year of overlap. End of her senior year, she graduated, got engaged, and signed a contract to move to Dubai all in the same week.
All in the same week.
Like opposite side of the planet. And so we started working on planning, went through about a month of that, and then she moved. And so we're at the airport and she goes, "Hey, baby sister, maid of honor, plan my wedding for me." I was like, okay. Don't know how to do that, but I will figure it out. It'll be fine. So I went into school thinking I wanted to be a high school math teacher. So I literally was majoring in math, double major math and education. So I'm in engineering physics and all these very, very fun math classes. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we have to get our bridesmaid dresses ordered and I have to get this flower order adjusted. And I just thought the wedding world was so fun, but I was like, people don't do that for a living. Like that's like a hobby, a side thing. Never really thought that'd be something for me. So I ended up working on my sister's hotel block in my dorm one night. My dorm director walked out and come to find out his wife was a wedding planner and she was looking for a summer intern. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just do that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's convenient.
I know. First wedding I ever did with her, anything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Oh, no.
So it was at a winery. So people got there early. They were drinking like pre-ceremony drinks, which fine, I'm all for it. But they were there probably like 2 hours before the ceremony. It was a long time. Get to the ceremony time and somebody had kicked over.
That's a long time.
Oh yeah, no, they were loving it. They got to the ceremony and somebody kicked over one of the pillar candles that was lining the aisle and like legitimately caught the carpet on fire. And so my first ever wedding, I'm this little college student, don't know what to do. So I'm literally stomping out a fire, sweeping up all of the glass. The glass cuts my arm. We're rearranging candles, like try not to bleed out on like this bride's beautiful aisle runner. We get to the ceremony. We get me all
suddenly becomes like a Halloween wedding.
Yes, it was just like the most insane thing. Couple more things like happened throughout the night, but then we get to the send-off. It's a sparkler send-off, which all wedding vendors know. Oh, these are going to be a good story. Mm-hmm. So we get to the end of the night. I pass out all the sparklers. I come back into the lobby and I see the bride, the groom, my boss, and like 3 cops are standing in the lobby. And so the bride's mom had so much to drink. She walked outside the venue, passed out in a bush. The cops found her and they were going to arrest her for public intoxication at her daughter's wedding. And so they're all trying to talk the cops out of this. We turn around, the drunk people have their sparklers lit outside. They're knocking cocktail tables over, glasses are shattering. We finally get the send-off happened. We talk the cops out of arresting the mom. We get her an Uber, get her home. And then the night comes around and I go, this is it. This is what I want to do with my life. Like this is it. Like, this is everything I did not know I needed in my world.
Are you a psycho?
No, I would like to think not. But it was just the perfect amount of like chaos and problem solving, a little bit of drama thrown in there, but
excitement.
Yes, and it was I never went into that expecting that that's what the wedding day would turn out to be. But it was fun to be able to problem solve, think on the fly. kind of
And to
like fix all
be
those things.
be
Yeah.
the problem fixer.
Yes.
The person that people turn to for help, like literally putting out fires.
Yes.
Like literally.
100%. Yes.
Wow.
So that was the first wedding I ever did.
That is epic.
I interned for her the rest of my college time, fell in love with wedding planning even more. When I was about a year away from graduation, I was going to tell my boss, like, hey, I want to work for you when I graduate. She was actually at the same conversation telling me she was relocating to California. So I was like, well, now I really don't know what to do. I have a year of school left. I have this math degree that I'm not going to be using and all this stuff. But she really encouraged me to start my own business. And so I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I can start this thing. We'll see what happens. And if it doesn't work out after a year, then I'll just go work for somebody else and see what happens. But by the time I graduated, had my degree, and I'd been doing the wedding planning for a year, it was enough to jump into it full time, which has just been crazy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, after that first wedding, it's like, when you can handle that, it's like, it's got only be downhill from here in a good way.
Right. So,
Wow. That's, I don't know. I don't think I've heard a better wedding disaster story than that.
Especially for your first wedding.
Especially for
That's
your first
yes.
wedding.
Yeah. So, and it was really fun to be able to plan my sister's with her being abroad and just like scheduling all the trips to come back. So I felt like between my internship with the other wedding planner and then planning my sister's wedding, I had like a really good gauge on kind of how to handle different clients and different things like that. So it was a very unique, not like traditional experience to get to be a wedding planner by any means.
Yeah.
But,
No, I just love hearing these stories of when people just get thrown into something and then they just thrive and then just grow from there.
yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to do that. How was it building your business, and what was that process like?
Yeah, so I like to call the first like 3 years of my business like the hustle phase, and so it was literally anything that I could do to be in the wedding world. I was there doing it. I would bartend on weeknights because I was like, well, I would love to see a wedding from a bartender perspective. And so I would do that to fill my weeknights. If I didn't have a wedding of my own, I would either carry gear for photographers, like so I could see like a wedding from their perspective. I assisted florists on setup and breakdown so I could see like what their world looked like, which I really felt like gave me a very unique perspective on like the planning side of things, just so I would actually know, okay, this is what this vendor needs to be successful on the wedding day. So that was really what I focused on kind of my first 3 years, along with like building up the amount of weddings I was doing. Year 3, I did 39 weddings by myself, which I do not recommend doing. That was also the year that my now husband and I got married.
Whoa.
He is an accountant. We're very, very different people. But he was working for a public audit firm. So he was working the 70, 80-hour work weeks during the week. I was doing nights, weekends, and we're like, this is not going to work out for us long term. So at that point is when I started building into more of the team model. My husband got a new job that was not nearly as many crazy hours. I'm still in the accounting world. But we kind of were trying to pivot our life around what was going to work for us well as a couple. And then it just kind of slowly evolved into what we're at now.
Yeah, that work-life balance is so important to avoid the burnout. And
Yes.
It's so cool that you got to build your own team. And I think it's incredible what you did with is throwing yourself into all different aspects of wedding planning, right down to bartending. That is so smart. And at my previous job, we had to all... I don't know. I don't know how to talk about this without being too specific. I worked at Walt Disney World, and
fun.
Yeah, it was. I worked there for 12 years.
Okay.
But in my department, it was several different roles had to work together in a same venue to be, and you're thrown in there, and you have to work together to be successful. And I always said, I wish so badly we could all switch positions so that we could see what the other person has to deal with. Because you can look at it,
Right.
but to actually be in their shoes and handle the situation is a completely different story.
Yep.
So that says a lot about you as a person and
Oh, thank you.
as a wedding planner to, like you said, to be able to see what all of these vendors need to be successful on the wedding day and also to be able to work well together during the whole planning process.
Yes, for sure. Like the biggest thing that stood out to me when I was helping like photographers and videographers was they would show up. Okay, detail photos are typically first, right? Okay, so make sure the box of all the details is collected, but also like styling blooms, like have them ready to go for you, because literally nobody would ever have that. And so it was. I feel like little things like that are things that I was able to pick up on.
Yeah,
by kind
those
of
are big things.
going about doing all those, little extra things along the way.
And we notice.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
Sometimes, like you said, like the blooms were like, pulling like a leaf off of a tree.
Yes,
Like the florist isn't even there yet with the flowers.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's amazing. How's that math degree working out for you now?
You know what? It's so funny. So I obviously don't use like differential equations or anything like that in my job, but I feel
use
like
those every day.
I got a C in that class, but here we are.
You passed.
I did pass. But I felt like my math degree really showed me there's a solution to every problem. And so whether it's something that's like obvious on the front end or something that you have to like really work through deeply to figure out, okay, like this is like why the process is going to work the best this way. Yeah, it's a very interesting way of like blending like a type A mind and type B mind, and like the creative side that you need to do like design and things like that with weddings, but also the logistical side. So it's really interesting balance.
That's a really special way of looking at it. I secretly really liked math. Like,
really?
Yeah. I don't know why secretly.
Yeah.
But like,
well, because it's all the nerds like it. So it's, I get it.
But I was a theater nerd. And so, yeah, I definitely had the more creative side. And math was not my like forte.
Right.
But I enjoyed like solving the puzzles.
Yes. Yeah.
And problem solving.
And
then like being successful when you get it right.
Yes.
Figure it out.
Very rewarding.
Yeah. Sure. So, okay, let's switch gears. Can you tell me about any like upcoming trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like the big one everyone's kind of saying right now is color, which I mean, I've always been a huge fan of color. Obviously with color. The pink, the purples, all the things, the bright pastels. But I feel
Barbie
like
girls today.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited for them.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
I already have my outfit picked out. Probably going to go see it more than once because I have several outfits.
Gosh. Okay. You're way ahead of me. I need to get on that level.
I just texted my friends like, can we please dress up and go? And she was like, I'm already one step ahead of you.
Oh my gosh. I was like, I need your exact shoes for the premiere. That's what I need.
I got them.
Yeah.
You can borrow them.
That's perfect. I'm going to be calling you for that.
Okay.
Yeah, put it down. But I feel like another big trend I'm seeing is like actionable things that are happening to create more of like an experience during the wedding day. So whether it's like having like live painters or something that people can like watch during the reception, live watercolor sketches that can happen during cocktail hour of like what the guests are wearing, is a fun like memento takeaway. I just had a wedding a few months ago that we did we had aerialists performing like on the sides of the DJ booth.
Wow.
And so they were, up on the big stands and like, the shiny outfits. I've had like the big champagne skirt server people. I don't know if you've seen those, but it's something people can walk in, they get their little welcome champagne, but it's not on the typical hedge wall, just different like tweaks on little things like that. But it creates more of like an impact and more of an experience for people.
More of an interactive.
Yes, for sure.
That. We were at a bridal show one time and we were like, not like laughing at it. We were just like, what is this guy doing? What is going on? He literally just like makes bubbles, like these like giant.
I've seen these.
Yeah.
Yes.
So cool. And like he just stood there for hours and just made these
like putting bubbles inside of bubbles.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like I didn't even know I could do that.
Like what?
Yeah. Well, and then I was like, you can make really cool photos. Like do like a giant bubble and like have the couple like behind it or like lots of little ones. Or, you could do some fun stuff with that. Yeah. I'd love to see the bubble guy at a wedding we did. I've been seeing people do like the ring for champagne.
Yes,
where
love that
like
one.
it's like have you seen this? It's like a wall of like vines or whatever. And there's like a sign with a bell that says ring for champagne.
Oh, yes.
And like they ring the bell and a hand just like appears out of the...
Right. Yep, a little white glove.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was one more that I thought of.
I've seen a lot more of those painters like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's cool because
Yeah.
they'll just like snap a photo on their phone, like maybe during the ceremony or
Mm-hmm.
something, and then they just try to paint, some version of that. It's so cool.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I recently I thought this was so cool. And if I ever get married, I want to do this.
Yeah, it's on the list.
This couple had a tattoo artist
Oh my
at
God.
the wedding.
Yes.
And people could just go get tattoos.
Yeah.
They might have had I'm sure they probably had like a sheet of like
Yes. Like Yes.
But that's so cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Bold.
Very bold. Yeah. And then like the couple went and got a tattoo together and
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen people tattooing their rings on.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A wedding we just had this past weekend, they had a temporary tattoo station. So they just ordered, it was like, they had one of like the groom's face, one of like the two of them together, like it was like a generic, like better together kind of thing. But yeah, and they had like a person stationed there that was like helping people like get their temporary tattoos on.
Cute.
There's people like putting them on like neck tattoos. It was hilarious, but
Just like a whole like
yes,
neck
a
of,
whole
like, the groom's
montage.
face.
But yeah, but it was super fun and it was something that was like different that got people talking. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Something that people will remember.
Yes.
So besides, speaking of something people will remember, I mean, I don't know how you could come up with a better story besides your epic first wedding story. Do you have any other like fun stories or memorable weddings that you like to tell people about?
Oh my gosh. Well, so we just had one a couple weeks ago. It was at a private estate out in Sulphur Springs. And so we were out there for like 5 days of production. It was the big like sailcloth tent, all the stuff. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the tenting process, but so you can either do just like grass or you can do like everything's lifted up, flooring and closed sides, like the whole gamut. Okay, but if you go flooring and sides, it basically doubles what you're paying for the tent. Like it's so costly, which like for some people who like, have super, super extended budgets, like no big deal, we'll do it 100%. This couple, we definitely were trying to like save where we could. And so I, told the couple, hey, here's what, the risks are by not doing this, but I understand like with the cost savings and blah, blah, blah. I totally get it if you don't want to do it. And they're like, yeah, like we're good not doing the sides and the, flooring and having it be open air, all this stuff. And I was like, great, we'll do it. So we get to be the day before the wedding and we're like, it's probably going to rain on wedding day. And we're like, that's fine. We can handle rain. But what we were not fully prepared for was the monsoon-like winds that were also coming in. And so it was like we lost an hour and a half of like production like the morning of the wedding. So like we couldn't put out candles. We had all the tables, chairs, like chair cushions, everything was totally set. But because the rain was coming in the tent sideways, we had to literally like fold tablecloths over on everything that was like already set on the tables, move it to the center of the dance floor, pull cushions off of chairs and like put them in front of the fan so they could start drying. But then the other thing that this was the funniest thing in the world to me, but the way the land was situated, apparently the lowest part of the entire property was exactly where we were putting the cake table, which also just so happened to be right behind where the sweetheart table or like the head table was. And we're like right where the bride and groom are seated. And so we had this whole big elaborate plan for like behind the cake table, like with the lattice wall and the arches, and the cake was this beautiful display. We did beautiful linen for the table. And so it wasn't really an option to like move it somewhere else, just like design wise, like we wanted it there. And so I'm over at the ceremony. My team is problem solving at the tent and I get a phone call and they say, hey, so we walked by the property owner's shed, which this was the bride's grandpa. He was super like the sweetest old little man. I adore him. So we walked by the property owner's shed and we saw he has like 8 bags of mulch. Do you think he would miss those? And I was like, no, what are you going to do with the mulch? Like, I'm literally in the middle of the ceremony. What are you talking about? They go, well, so all the water is pooling right by the cake table. And we'd already tried a tarp. We'd tried all these other things. And but if we put mulch down, we think that we can get everything situated.
Pretty smart.
And so I was like, okay, great. I was like, take the mulch. And if that's his sticking point, I will personally reimburse it for 8 bags of mulch if that's what saves the design part of this.
How much is mulch going for these days?
God, probably 10 times the amount it used to.
Probably,
Yeah. Just like everything else.
Everything else.
But so I get a video of my girls sitting over there raking mulch on wedding day, getting it like set out, and then they move the cake table on top. And it actually ended up being the perfect solution because
Genius.
it gave more of like a garden feel and all
Yeah.
the stuff. But
It's commitment too.
it was quite literally to cover the giant puddle of water that was all underneath it to make the design still work on wedding day.
Wow.
Yep.
That's genius,
Yeah.
honestly. I love outdoor weddings, partly because I feel like it's already so beautiful. You don't have
Yes.
to do a lot.
For sure.
It's just the scenery itself speaks for itself. But they're so risky.
Yes.
So risky. I mean,
Yes. Well, especially
I'd probably still do it, but
especially like in Texas in the spring, it's like
Mhm.
April, May, June. It's like, well, you don't know if it's going to be 120 degrees outside or if it's going to be torrential downpour or if you're going to have a random cold front come through. It's hard to plan for. But
someone was having an outdoor wedding and they told me it's just like at a family house, and they told me that they didn't really have a plan B, and that was kind of scary. So they like looked into and they didn't want a tent. They just wanted it to feel open air, all outside. The weather was supposed to be nice, like nobody's gonna be sweating. So they looked into like renting a tent for like a plan B. And I could be totally off. My memory could be wrong. And tell me if you think it sounds totally off. But it was like just to put like a deposit down to reserve it, even if they didn't use it, was like $10,000.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Even if they didn't use it, just to like,
Yes.
reserve it.
Yes.
I mean, I
I'm
get
about
it.
to start a new business in the
Yeah.
tents and industry, just so you know.
Yeah.
You can come to Bunches Tents, 555.
B 55 BUNCH.
That's right. Yeah, that's too many numbers.
That is too many. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
So we're gonna have a cold sparkler business and a
Perfect.
Yeah, we need cold sparkler business. We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
You know, to
100%. Yep.
light people's hair on fire and whatnot.
yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I give my little sparkler speech at the end of every wedding. I'm like, please hold your sparkler up, not out, because there's hairspray in there. Like, you don't want to light a bride on fire.
And the
The whole
photographers and the videographers running
Running
through
backwards, and everyone's like, it's like, no,
Yep.
just hold it up.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Yep.
yeah. Just like we said, or literally putting out fires, or
100%.
hopefully not.
100%.
Yeah. Have you ever done like a destination wedding?
No, so I kind of toyed with the idea, and I feel like most wedding planners, whenever they get into like the wedding industry, their goal is either to become a destination planner or a luxury wedding planner.
Really?
So that's kind of like the two tracks I've seen. And so for me, I've just celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary. So still kind of in the newlywed phase, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of a veteran. I don't know. You tell me.
I feel like that's still newlywed.
Yeah. So
I mean, like experienced and established, but
Yes.
still new. I mean, especially compared to the rest of your lives, you know?
yes, for sure. But so we have 2 young babies. So our oldest is 2.5. Youngest just turned 1, and then we have our 3rd one on the way, which will be here very soon, which is crazy. Thank you, going for the 3 under 3 game.
Killing it.
But when we started our family, I was like, I don't know if I want to be the type of mom that's like gone all the time. And so for me, it was like the destination stuff was like never really the biggest thing in like the forefront of my mind. I've done a few of like the luxury weddings where it's like over the top floral, like very large budgets. And I just felt like that, like the specific type of clientele was like not necessarily the person I necessarily vibe the best with, which is nothing like against them, nothing against me. It's just, I just don't think that I'm the best person for that kind of client.
Right.
And so for me, like we've kind of taken more of the approach of we just want to work with people that we love.
Yeah.
And so the destination stuff has never really been a huge thought. Luxury stuff we toyed with a little bit, but now we're kind of more in the phase of we just want to work with nice people. And all of the girls on my team, we all have very different personalities. So it's kind of like figuring out how to attract a somewhat different kind of person, but like with the general same qualities, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And there's so many great planners and vendors in the Dallas market that, you know, luckily it feels like everyone tends to like lift each other up and like, or if you get a couple that you feel isn't a fit, having the ability to say,
Mm-hmm.
we might not work well together, or like your vision might not work best for our
100%.
brand, but
Yes.
why don't you go see this person?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Exactly.
that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also really cool that you're at the point in your business where you can do that.
100%. Mm-hmm.
And that's so incredible. And of course you want to work with couples that you vibe with, because you're gonna be working with them for a while.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it just makes it so much more fun, especially like day of, when you know this couple and you
Yes.
vibe well and you we're the same way. Like when we work with a couple that's just sweet and fun and nice to everyone, the
Yes.
family loves each other,
Yes.
and we're having a good time, it just makes the whole day better. And
and it probably also shows like through your work.
that's exactly
too.
what I was going to say. You can see it through the photos, through the video, of course through the video, but like you'd be surprised, you can see it in the photos.
Oh, yeah.
And that even then it makes it more fun to go back and edit them, and like
Yes.
you're like excited to go back to the studio and like upload and like get to work, because I don't know, it's fun, and you feel like a part of their crew, which is so special.
Yes.
Let's talk like DIY.
Okay.
How do you feel about DIY? If you like it, tell me about some projects that you like.
Yes. So I actually just had a very in-depth conversation with my team about DIY.
Okay.
I'm kind of all for it for some things,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some things about your wedding that you should never DIY. Like catering, no.
Yeah.
Like you should never have a family member like you need to hire a professional catering company or get a restaurant to bring food, but hire a professional staffing company. That is not something you should try to DIY. Flowers, horrible idea. Do not DIY them. Like I think the cost savings is a good idea on the front end, but it's all of that stuff has to happen the week of your wedding. And so unless you want to be literally like on YouTube the week, the night before your wedding, putting together bouquets and centerpieces, I really do not recommend doing that. But there are some things like favors or like getting like your own candles or things like that. Like I'm all for DIYing that kind of stuff, because if you can save a little bit on cost, but it's nothing that's going to be a huge thing that has to happen either the week of or on wedding day, I'm like, yeah, I can get behind that. But yeah, there's some of the larger vendor things. Just leave it to the vendor. Like there's a reason that they're out there. There's a reason that they provide the service they do. So just let the professional handle it.
Just have your Uncle Bob photograph the wedding. It'll work out great.
Isn't that like your favorite thing when y'all are at the ceremony and someone walks over and he's like, "Oh, what kind of gear are you shooting?" Like, "Oh, I have this camera. I can do this thing."
Yep.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there was one time I was actually filming a wedding. There was a different photographer there, and it was an Asian wedding, and it was a Japanese family, and most of our cameras are made in Japan.
Okay.
And so photography is just like a huge deal in Japan.
Right.
So like there was probably 30 nice cameras with like guests with nice cameras at the wedding. Like they got their DSLR or their mirrorless camera like with the strap on their shoulder walking around the wedding.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's cool. Well,
it is and it isn't,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of, I mean, that's just going to be the way it is. There's going to be lots of other people with camera gear in all the shots, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I am with you 100%. I've heard and seen plenty of horror stories where family member makes the cake, or just let your family member like enjoy the wedding.
Yep.
And
just let them be your mom. Let them be your aunt. Let them be there and enjoy everything like all the other guests.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about when a couple's like making their budget. What's your advice? What are things that you think are like, you should spend money on this, don't scrimp on this, and things that you're like, if you want to put more money towards this, maybe cut this?
Yes, for sure. That's a fabulous question. So budget should be the first thing that you ever do before you talk about guest count, before you talk about what venue you want to have. It should literally be the first conversation, because everything's going to revolve around that. The honestly, the biggest thing when it comes to budget is prioritizing what is the most important to you. So if having a photographer and a videographer team is the most important, you need to put a little bit more of the percentage of your budget toward those items.
Yeah.
If having like these huge statement pieces, like something over the dance floor and tall floral arrangements on every single table is important, then you probably need to put more towards your flowers. But that might mean you need to cut back on your guest count in order to accommodate food, bar, staffing, the rest of your rentals and things like that.
Right.
And so it's kind of looking at what's the most important to you, but then also what are your expectations for the day. If having 300 people there is the most important thing to you, you can totally do that. But you might not have the big dance floor installation because if your budget doesn't allow for both, then you're going to have to give somewhere.
Yeah. 300 of your closest friends.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to each their own.
I think that's like, to me, one of the biggest reasons to get a planner is because when you're working through a budget for an event that's unlike anything else that you've ever done before, that's just like a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like, so our planning company specifically, like we're definitely not at the lowest price point. We're definitely not at the highest price point. And for us, like part of that comes down to, we only take on a certain amount of events for each of my girls. So there are 7 of us total.
Nice.
Each of our girls who do this full time, like this is the only thing we do. The max amount of events that we'll take in a calendar year is 20.
Wow.
And the reason we do that is because the year that I went through and I did my 39 weddings in a year, I saw the level of attention that I was not able to give each of my clients that I wanted to. And so because of that, we kind of changed our process and we said, okay, no, we're going to limit the amount. We're going to make sure that we're like investing very heavily in those, like, maximum of 20 clients every year. But that means, because we're taking less, it means that we need to be charging more for those events. And so I think it's just kind of a give and take of, okay, yeah, you can totally always find somebody cheaper. You can find somebody newer, but are they going to give you the level of attention that you're wanting? Are they going to bring you the experience that you're wanting? Are they going to be, available and go through a process in the way that is like refined and makes sense and is easy to follow? And not to say that the newer planners can't get there, because everyone has to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
I was a math major with 0 experience, and here I am 7.5 years later. So I think it just comes down to what is the client's expectation for what their planning process is going to look like. And then you kind of have to be able to weigh, do I want to pay a little bit more for that, or do I want to figure it out on my own?
Right.
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're just shooting your budget through the roof. It's just like choosing which categories you're going to not make those sacrifices.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe you sacrifice, your top shelf liquor, and you end up with a beer and wine bar so that you could get the better planner that you wanted.
Yes, exactly.
Before I got into the wedding industry, I would look at prices of all these different things and be like, oh my, that's ridiculous. And like, just because it says wedding, it's people jack up the price. And now like being in it, I can tell you that is not, that's not the case.
Yes.
Like being in it and seeing all the work that goes on behind the scenes and then afterwards as well. There's just so much work, and we are people, this is our jobs, this is our business, trying to make a living, paying the bills. And so it's not, we're not trying to like nickel and dime you. And like, there's just so many hours that go into it before, during, and after.
I saw a post on Instagram that said for every, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to know way more on this than like I do from the photographer standpoint, but for every hour that you're there on wedding day, it attributes to like 6 to 10 hours worth of work on the back end because of like culling, going through things, which it's like, people are like, you charge how much for an additional hour on wedding day? It's like, well, yes, but you just see the 1 hour. You don't see what that all plays into to get you the final product that comes from that hour. And then, we had a post that went, not viral, but it was pretty popular there for a second on our scale.
That's always exciting.
But it was all about how having a wedding these days is a luxury. Like having a wedding period is a luxury. And it's weddings have evolved so much from what they were when our parents got married, where you have, cake and punch at the church. It's okay, now you're getting a full-on venue, you're getting transportation, you're having these elaborate florals.
Sit-down meal.
Full-on sit-down meal with like full staffing and
DJ or a live band.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the scale has grown so immensely that it's what you could afford back then doesn't get you the same thing now. And just being a business owner, you guys would know this too, over the last, 3.5, 4 years since COVID happened, like storage on computers has increased out of nowhere. And like the cost for really good staffing to help you on wedding day, like just the cost for everything is increasing. And so when our prices as like a vendor, like we're just passing it on to the client.
Yeah.
We're not sitting here saying like, well, I deserve this much more money, blah, blah, blah. Like we are literally just trying to keep up with everything that's coming our way as a business owner. And so I feel like that's something that people sometimes miss.
It's a hard balance too on
Yep.
our end to figure that out. And to know your worth too.
Yes. Yep.
To know it and to own it and to say,
Yes.
I am worth this, my work is this good.
Right.
Yeah. I want to hear, and I feel like couples will appreciate this question because maybe a family member might need to hear it and they don't have to have the conversation or whatever.
Okay. Love it.
Etiquette, like do's and don'ts. Either you can do both, like leading in the wedding planning process or day of etiquette.
Yep. Okay. We actually just had another post on this. So go check out our Instagram because I have a whole thing. So you can just literally repost it. So you don't have to be the one to say it. Like I'll be the bad guy. It's fine.
Yes.
Okay. So it starts with RSVP. Literally, like before the wedding day even comes.
Yes.
The RSVP date is there for a reason. It's
not
not
that hard.
It's not just let us know if you're coming a month out because we want to know a month out. It's so many things happen because of your guest count. Your final catering bill changes. The amount of linens, tables, chairs, china, place setting, glasses you need for your bar. All of that changes.
A seat at the table.
Seat at the table. Having time to put your seating chart together if you're doing assigned tables or assigned seats. That doesn't just magically happen. Like that's a 2 to 3 day process for most people.
Yeah.
So please RSVP on time. Don't be the person that gets the text message the day of, the day past the RSVP date being due. Like, hey, you coming to my wedding? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Just RSVP. As soon as you get it, just send it in and be done. You know if you're going to come or not. Just let them know.
Yeah.
Another big one is show up 30 minutes before the ceremony, maximum. Do not get there an hour before. Don't get there 45 minutes before because photographers and videographers are probably utilizing that time either for finishing up bridal party photos or getting reception room shots or ceremony shots, or your planner is probably trying to get these last few things like put together for the ceremony or making sure the ushers are in the right place because the ushers aren't going to get there until 45 minutes before. Don't be the person who slides in during the middle of the processional. Like if you see the processional has started, I'm so sorry, you should have left your house sooner. Just wait off on the side. Do not be in the sight of cameras. Oh my gosh. Like when people literally come to like where like the bride and groom or the bride and her dad are being open, like when the doors are opening and you see like a whole clump of people standing right next to the door because they don't want to walk in, but they want to see it.
Right.
It's like, y'all are in all those pictures. Please don't do that. So just like stay to the side.
It happens so freaking often.
So often. Yes. Or
so frustrating.
or the person who's like, they see like the last bridesmaid go down the aisle and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to slide in. It's like, no, this is not your chance.
Oh, the whole build-up was for this moment.
Yes.
This is not your time.
Yes.
You got to go wait in your car.
Yes. And so I'm like,
go listen to some music or something.
I'm like, as soon as the ceremony, like as soon as the bride gets up there, like, I promise I will let you in, but like, this is her moment. Like, don't be that person. Keeping your phones away during the ceremony. We recently had a gallery come back where somebody literally had their phone in the middle of the aisle. Yep, that I'm sure y'all have seen them in your galleries as well. And you have to delete them out, which is so frustrating. Just keep your phone away, especially if the bride specifically has like an unplugged ceremony sign or the officiant announces before the ceremony, please keep your phones away. Just listen. Like that's what the bride wants. Just listen to her.
Be in the moment. Like as the guest, know that the professionals, we got it. That's why they hired us. We're there.
Yes.
And just you yourself, put your phone away for a little bit. You can do it and just be in the moment, be present and enjoy and remember why you're there and why they invited you there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another big one, dress code. So ladies, if you have to ask yourself the question, is this too much white or is this too close to white? Do not wear it. Just put it away. This is not a wedding guest dress unless on the invitation it specifically says, please wear white.
Right.
Which those happen very few and far between. So
Yeah.
it probably isn't going to happen.
Right. Don't be Mindy Kaling in the office
Don't be.
wearing the.
It was an
wedding
emergency
dress
though.
to
So she
different
looks really
pants.
good in white. She looks really good
right.
in white.
I mean, she does.
Yes. Yes. But just follow the dress code. Don't wear jeans. Jeans are not really ever acceptable unless you're like
Unless it's like good country.
unless it's like a straight up good
Cowboy.
party country wedding where they're like please wear your boots.
Yeah.
Like
You know, the groom is also wearing jeans.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's probably like the one exception. And then the biggest one for I'm just gonna hop on the planner soapbox here for a second.
Yeah.
If the planner asks you to go somewhere or to do something as a guest, please listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're not trying to cut off your conversation during cocktail hour. What we're doing is we're trying to efficiently and effectively get you from one location of the venue to another because we know it's going to take you some time to find where is table 11. Oh, I do want another drink. I need to go to the restroom before bride and groom are announced in. We know all these things need to happen before we can announce the bride and groom in, which also affects, okay, catering, is going to need to be on standby for dinner service. The DJ needs to be ready to queue up XYZ music for all of your entries.
Yes.
We need to make sure photographer and videographer are on the dance floor so they're ready for the first dance and any, welcome speech blessing of the meal. There's so many things that have to happen in order for you to get your dinner on time.
Yeah.
And so when we're interrupting your conversation during cocktail hour, asking you to go sit down, we're not trying to be rude.
Right.
We're literally trying to get you fed and on the dance floor.
Yes.
As quickly as we can.
We're trying to help you.
Yes.
Help me
Yeah.
help you.
Exactly.
We're the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I struggle with this because I don't want to come across as rude, but sometimes it is so crucial for us to be there in that moment, to capture that moment, because you can't get that moment back. That it's like, sorry guys, like you gotta move. Like, I'm sorry, I'm in your way, but this is why I'm here to capture this moment. And so same thing. If we ask you to move, just please understand.
Please listen.
Yeah. Well, then it's the butterfly effect. If people don't listen to you, and then you're behind on this, which makes this behind, and then you got to cut off dancing time and
Right.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Big domino effect for sure. So it all just comes down to just be the kind of guest that you would want people to be at your wedding.
Yeah.
That's literally what it comes
The
down
golden
to.
rule.
What it comes back to, man.
Yeah. What goes around comes around.
Yes.
Karma is my boyfriend.
Gosh, don't even get me started. Did you go to the concert?
No.
Oh my gosh.
We were filming a wedding.
Oh man. So of the 7 girls on my team, like
Did everyone go?
90% of us are Swifties. And so we book weddings really, really far out. Y'all probably do too. But we got so lucky that we did not have any weddings the weekend that she was in DFW. And so we had 2 of our girls went twice. Yeah, like they went like
Tickets were so expensive. How'd they get those tickets?
they got them like on the big day that everybody was freaking out about
Yeah.
everything. They just got them and they got 2 days worth.
Wow. Karma is their boyfriend.
Yes. And so we actually, one of the girls on our team got all 3 days and she was like, well, like we'll just sell the Saturday. So that was how me and my husband got to go.
Oh.
But yeah, insane concert.
I heard.
Crazy. Yeah.
I'm still like dreaming about looking at the cities coming up and seeing if I
You're like, can I make it there? Can I do it?
just put this on my credit card.
Yeah.
You only live once.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
only going to be one Eras tour.
Oh my gosh. And it was wonderful.
I know.
She did a great job. Yes.
Wow. I'm jealous. Good
Yeah.
for you.
So sorry.
It's
Yeah.
okay. Okay. I feel like we've covered a lot, like a good amount of topics. What makes Treasured Hearts unique? What sets you guys apart from another wedding planning business?
Yeah. So kind of 2 big things initially stand out. So we're based on donation and giving back. And so kind of like the whole other track to my story, aside from just like learning weddings and falling in love with them, was my freshman year at TCU is when I became a Christian, started going on mission trips, fell in love with all these missionary families I was working with overseas. And so for a hot second there, I was like, I want to be a missionary when I graduate, but that was also not my calling in life. And so when I was starting our business, I knew I wanted to do something that would reflect and like support those families that we were working with and that I'd fallen in love with so much. And so there was nobody out there doing it. So we started where we send 10% of all of our packages to missionary families or to organizations that our couples are passionate about. So that's probably the big first one. As a 20-year-old college student, my big goal was we want to donate $100,000 in the first 10 years of business. And my sweet accountant, now husband, goes, you realize that means that you need to make like $1 million. And I was like, yeah, but like we'll do it. We'll figure it out. And here we are, 7.5 years in, and we're at the point where we've donated almost $70,000 to mission work, which is crazy.
That's incredible.
That's the reason why we do what we do. And I feel like another thing that kind of makes our company stand out a little bit more is we. So what some like principal planners will do, right? So like, if I'm the owner, like I'll be in charge of everything, like creative, directive. Me as like the owner, I would be in charge of like every single design, right? I would be in charge of the full planning process. And then at some point, whenever I deemed it necessary or whatever, I would pass it off to one of my other associate planners, right? And so they would be more of like the coordinator that would come in either the month before, the week before, whatever it would be. But to me, that didn't make sense. I'm like, if I'm not going to be the person who's there for you on your wedding day, why am I doing everything for you on the front end when, like, one, I'm not going to get to see it to fruition, which is going to drive me crazy, but also like I know all the details about your event, so it doesn't make sense for me not to be there. And so we actually set it up to where if like my girl Addie, if she's going to be the person who's there for you on your wedding day, she's in charge of everything. So she does the initial consultation, she does the design, she works with all of your vendors, she does all the coordination, and she's actually the person who's physically there on wedding day. Just for us, like having the relationship and like the trust that you build like throughout the planning process was too important, that I didn't want them to say like, oh, well, we love Ashlee, but who's this person Morgan coming in on my wedding day? Like, I don't know her. Like, I don't trust her. How do I know she's going to know everything that I want that's important to me? So I just set it up to where if they're not my couple, I actually don't even meet them unless I go assist or I help on something on the wedding day. And I really give all of our girls like their own jurisdiction over all their
empowering
events
for them.
So, yeah. So,
wow, that's incredible. Our parents were actually missionaries, so
no way.
yeah. So Jordan, I mean, I was really little, but they set up a camp from my memory. They set up a camp in Estonia, called Camp Balchioka, which that's translates to Christian in Estonian. And whenever they first started going, I was probably like 2 or 3. And I think they went until I was like maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah, I actually, so this is kind of wild. They went for, I don't know, like 7 years in a row. The camp is actually still going. It's a Christian youth camp that was started in a former Soviet Union, like, concentration camp. Like, yeah. So, really cool redeemed space story.
Yes.
But I actually got my master's degree in missions from Haviland Christian, and I was reading this book, and it didn't mention my parents' name, but it talked about the camp that was started.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was really wild to get to see that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some fun memories of going over there, and when I was too young to go to the camp, they'd not give me, but like I'd go stay with a family there, and I remember they had girls my age, and I would speak in we would like play Barbies and stuff.
Yeah.
And she only spoke Estonian, and I only spoke English, and we would just like I would talk to her Barbie in English, and she would talk back in Estonian, and we'd have like matching best friend Winnie the Pooh shirts.
That's
and
awesome.
like I still have pictures of that somewhere. Or we'd like we'd watch like Tom and Jerry because there's
no words.
no
Yeah.
words.
It's just the storyline and
laugh together. So I love that I still have memories from that. Yeah. So that's really amazing what you do.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think you said you can give back to causes that the couples
Yeah, so we have like the missionary family that I'd worked with was in Guatemala, and so they do orphan prevention, and so it's really getting to the root cause of like, okay, why are families breaking apart, and then they're trying to avoid that. The other cool thing about this company specifically is they really equip the local Guatemalans to do everything, so it's not just like the American coming in and fixing everything and telling people how to do stuff.
Teach a man how to fish.
Yes, exactly. And so that organization I just thought was amazing. So we have people like that, and then we have like American Red Cross or just general disaster relief. And so people can kind of pick and choose like what is the most important to them, and so they can say I want my 10% to like go to that cause essentially.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's so cool. That not
Yeah.
only like you guys give back, but then you also like empower the couple to feel like to get to choose, the charity that they are donating to. And I'm sure that feels good for them to know that like a part of their, money is I mean, of course it's doing good going to your company, but also like doing for a bigger purpose.
Yes.
Wow.
For sure. And I think
I love that idea.
I think the cool part about it is like couples who we probably would never come across like contact with otherwise, like a lot of our couples are not Christian, which is totally fine. But I feel like it's a cool way to kind of like introduce the idea and say like, hey, like this is important enough to us to like base our business on it. And so whether that makes some small impact or like it plants a seed of some sort with them, we think it's worth it. So
Amazing. Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering all my wedding related questions. I feel like we covered a lot.
Yes. So much.
Yeah. And I said this before, but I feel like we could exchange more stories.
Yes.
So come back, please. Let's talk some more.
I will come back whenever.
We don't even have to talk about weddings. I'm sure there's other stuff we could chat about.
Yes.
So what I like to say is, we love weddings. That's why we're in it. But I think it's also important to do things that are not work. And
Yes.
So I have these questions that are just fun, like little get to know you
Let's do it.
questions. Okay, great. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Ooh, I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah. Put you on the hot seat for a second.
This is how you know I didn't set it up.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So do I A or B? Does it matter?
You can pick. And if you don't like that card, pick another one.
Ooh, okay. What's a board game you are positive you could destroy us all at?
I'm really competitive.
Yeah.
I think it comes from 3 older brothers.
That would probably do it.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I remember like playing Monopoly in the summer and never winning.
Yeah.
They crushed me at Monopoly. This is not true. The only game that's coming to mind right now is Mousetrap. Do you remember Mousetrap?
Oh my gosh, that's like the most fun game ever.
It was so fun.
Yes, yeah.
I used to play the game I used to just like play myself.
Yeah,
in
you got
that
like the
game.
building aspect.
Yeah.
You got like you had a whole storyline behind it. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's my answer. Mousetrap.
There he is.
All right. It's my turn. Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
What discontinued item would you give anything to bring back?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. The thing that's coming to mind right now is like, like in the 90s when they had those like the stretchy like chokers,
Yeah.
like they were like the black, but they had like
Yes.
the flower stuff on them. I feel like that trend's kind of coming back around just with like shorter necklaces and
Yes.
stuff. But I always had a lot of those. I don't know why that is.
And like the rubber bracelets.
Yes, Yep.
Yeah.
That or like the butterfly clips. My daughter's obsessed with those.
I
and so,
literally have a pack of
yes,
butterfly clips in my car right now.
That's amazing.
yeah.
I changed my answer. Butterfly clips.
Butterfly clips?
That's what it is.
Okay, I also just want to, because this is
Yes.
going to be a quick answer. Would you trust me to pierce your ear, 80s sleepover style?
I can see all the earrings you have, so yes, I probably would. Yes.
It's a good answer because
Yes.
I actually, the bottom 5 I did myself.
Really?
Quarantine, man.
Oh man, that'll get you.
I don't to get you.
Yes.
Drove me crazy, but
Yep. Yeah, I think I would. I think I would.
okay.
Mhm.
Do you want to do
Yeah.
one more?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, okay. What bad habit have you kicked? That's a
She
hard
still
one.
has all of her bad habits.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding. That's just a brother thing to say. Biting her nails.
Here we are.
okay. I don't know if I don't know if it's a bad habit or even if I've technically kicked it yet, but dyeing my hair.
Ooh, okay.
That was a bad habit for the health of my hair.
Gotcha.
It's really fun,
Yeah.
but
Different looks all the time. I
I
can
mean,
find it.
like literally every color.
Yeah.
I remember one time,
I'm going to hold you to this.
yeah. Well, it's like brown now, so it's gonna be here. I purposely did the brown because it's like you
Yes.
can't really go back now.
Mhm.
But I remember one time when I was living in Orlando and I was actually meeting Jordan in Vegas for like a wedding convention. So he hadn't seen me in person for a while. And I was like at the convention center and we were talking on the phone trying to find each other. And he was like, "What are you wearing? Wait, actually, what color is your hair?"
Oh my gosh. Like that was the more definitive thing
Yes.
about you is what color is your hair.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I love that you can pick me out in a crowd, basically.
Yeah.
My hair color. Yeah.
What's
So,
like what's the craziest color that you've done? Are you talking like you go like pink?
oh yeah.
Oh, you do all the colors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Recently I did like a split lime, like lime, like neon green and hot pink.
Yes. Okay.
That was fun. I think my favorite, honestly, was dark green.
Yeah.
It was so fun, and actually, I did a green that a neon green that glowed under a UV light. Yeah,
I didn't even know they like made that.
that was
That's
fun.
crazy.
I did that around Halloween, and then I did dark green that like faded to a mint green.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome.
we can't talk about it anymore. I'll go back.
Oh my gosh. Jordan's like, please don't.
Yeah. So is that kind of the habit?
Yeah, I would say so.
It was a habit. Trust me.
Yes, yeah.
It was definitely a habit.
It's like can attest.
It's self-expression.
Yes.
On what topic could you be an expert TV talking head besides weddings?
Oh, no, I know the end. I know this one. How to be okay with having chaos exist around you all the time. I feel like ever since I had my daughter, she is literally the tiny version of me. And I don't think I've ever apologized more to my mom in my entire life than I have since my daughter was born. Just like, if that's how I was, I'm like, I'm so sorry. But she is the best. She is like the sweetest heart and like she's so kind and caring. But she's a little spitfire. And that girl has some opinions on literally everything. There's no controlling her whatsoever. My son, as soon as he started crawling, it's like he is now running everywhere. He's climbing on everything. Like I turned around the other day and he had like climbed up on like my daughter's stool and gotten on top of the island. Like he literally managed to get all the way up there. I was like, bro, I looked away for like 3 seconds. But I think it's just having all of that exist and then like going out in public and just knowing that they're not going to always behave the best and they're going to have a meltdown here or there.
Yeah.
But just having all of that exist around you, but not being so self-conscious that you don't still go do the things, like still do the things, you know, that's important.
Right. Don't let it stop you.
Yes. And now with our third one on the way, we're like, we're going to find a whole new wave of all of this stuff. But yeah, I think it's just important to know that like nobody has everything put together. So just be okay with it. And just where you're at in your life right now it's good. It's going to be good.
It's great advice. So next time you come back, you're going to talk to us all about how to be okay with chaos existing around you and how to manage it.
Yes, I can do it.
I don't even have kids and I need that.
Oh my gosh. It's wonderful. It's wonderful and crazy and hard. And Jordan knows because you got the 3 kids.
I know.
Yeah.
I know all about it.
So I'm probably going to come to you for advice actually as soon as this other one's here.
I've got 7 years on you now in the kid area. So I got you. I'll help out.
Yes.
Yep. It's amazing what my wife can do to like manage all that. It's just blows me away.
Yeah.
So Jordan will give you like the kid advice and I'll let you borrow my shoes.
This is perfect. I love it.
All planned out.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. This has been so fun. You want to shout out like all your socials again? And
so
I'll link all your contact information, but just so they can hear it.
For sure. So our company is Treasured Heart Events, and you can find us on Instagram at Treasured Heart Events or on our website, www.treasuredheartevents.com.
Awesome. And follow Lady Bird Studios on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for sure to see more episodes like this. If you want to come on the podcast, email info@ladybirdsstudios.com. Or if you have any questions or topic suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye. Yeah.
So fun.